Welcome, everybody, back to episode 2 of an LPL English podcast. I'm joined here by Raafaa and Slayer. And immediately, guys, I think I just want to jump right into it. I need to know what the name of our podcast is. We got a few suggestions on the most recent episode, but since do have you guys here, I want to have you guys give your takes immediately. What do you think is a good title for the show?
I thought you were gonna read submissions. I have nothing currently.
I will say I saw in the comments section, "Crazy is our name," because crazy is our game, and it kind of like follows the same line. If we can't come up with something better than that, I like that.
I'm just trying to think of like a funny way to capture the fact that we talk about teams that coin flip games that red buffs or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. You've put me on the spot. This is not a good start. Not a good start for me.
I want us to clarify, because Raafaa also gave this person credit. I went over Spell Kowalski on the YouTube, decided "Crazy is our name" was going to be the podcast for this. I kind of like it. I think it's a little too similar to the tagline for the league, so that's where I'm maybe a little less comfortable with having it.
So you want a little bit more differentiation from it?
Yeah. Yes. I'm all for diversity here, so I want to make sure that we're getting as much, something a little niche, maybe a little cute if we want it to be, but.
Trying to think of something with like it's like chaos. Good, yeah. I'm trying to think of like staple descriptive words for the region and like how we could spin that. So like, yeah, crazy is a good one. Like Chaos Coliseum. No, I don't know. I just spitballing. Chaos Coliseum.
Well, okay, so let's look at some other names for the other podcasts that we've had in the past. LEC had Euphoria. LCK has Pog State, and LCS has The Dive. So, LEC
did they kill Euphoria?
It's not being brought back this year.
F.
I know.
Oh, man,
that was really
sucks.
sad to read. But the nice thing about that name, Euphoria, EU.
Yeah.
Euphoria, right? Pog State. I mean, low key, Pog State.
That's
can
another
be
LSism.
Yeah, I guess so. That's
yeah.
All right. That makes sense. I was wondering, Pog State could have been applied to like anything. Like hell, we could have done Pog State, but obviously they have it for themselves.
It was because it came from the LOL state, which obviously was a big phrase going on, and then it turned into the Pog state because LOL was another Twitch emote at the time. We don't have to spend too much time on this. I know I kind of ambushed you guys with this one, but I want to see if there is just something there.
If inspiration hits later on, I'll let you know.
The only thing is there a way do we lean into the trophy? Like, could we do something with Twin Dragon or Silver Dragon, like, or something? I don't know. Yeah, maybe someone will come to me. I will exclaim it if it comes to my mind. But I am not helpful right now.
Don't worry. Again, for the comments, I want you guys to please just give us suggestions. Also, if you have any ideas for segments that you guys want to see us execute on, I think that's always a little bit fun for fan-submitted content. But guys, we can kick it straight into the first part of the league. I mean, we made it through our first week of Split 1. How are we feeling about the LPL so far?
Well, I think I'm feeling pretty good. I'm enjoying the sort of 3-group kind of scenario as a good start. I think that's fun, but I do think through the limited time we've had that I'm not impressed by group perseverance teams to the point. I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit, to the point where I think they'll be challenging Group Ascend teams, and then Group Ascend is, I guess, kind of playing out how a lot of people expected, but it's in a fun way. Maybe not AL fans.
True.
I still am very much in the belief that whoever comes out of Group Perseverance as the #1 seed, they legitimately have a chance to take the first play-in playoff spot from Top Esports, because I'm very convinced that Top Esports are finishing 5th or 6th at this rate. And that is now okay.
Yeah.
Before I start spoiling any results, what is the last match we are referring to for this podcast?
Last night, so the last match will be Top
So
Esports versus
the
Invictus
insane
Gaming.
IGTAS back-to-back bang. Okay.
Yeah.
So even if Jachi is putting on his best Jackie Love impression, the team still looks very dysfunctional at times, and the fact that your star performer is not one of your 2 returning veterans in 369 or Kareem is just very worrying. There needs to be more stability and leadership from those 2, and you can see clearly right from the first 1.5 weeks of gameplay that it's not even they're struggling without Jackie Love, because Jachi is stepping up and he's doing his job as an AD carry. They needed Kanavi so badly to help give them the direction of leadership. Feng Yue and Nio are trying to do their best, but they're acclimating. They are the newer pieces to this roster, and they have yet to make a full season starting as tier 1 players. So this is just them cutting their teeth.
I don't know, man. I feel like you can maybe say that for Feng Yue, but Nio had, you probably have Doin B shot calling a lot, but you are a big leader for that team. You're probably the most vocal voice on LGD at the time. And yes, 100%. This is tougher competition, but you have been playing in the league for a little bit now as Nio. Maybe not as an immediate starter coming in, but I think for Nio, it's a little bit of criticism. We can even just look at our standings real quick because we have them from last night updated. This is now kind of like BLG with a really solid enough lead going in at 4-0. I don't know, this is for Top Esports. If they do end 5th, 6th, that's great, but I'm looking at the playoff bracket going in, 5th and 6th. 6th place is going to go against 1st seed Perseverance, which who knows whether or not that's WE or not at this point. But
yeah, I don't know.
I still think that Jachi is good enough to beat either bottom lane, whether it is either our presumed or presumed what's it called, EDG that might make it through.
Yeah, Group Perseverance is a hilarious little conundrum, and I will suspend some of my thoughts on that group because I would like to hear Mark talk mostly about how Group Perseverance has been going so far. I think it's a little bit of both things you guys are saying. In the essence that Nio's definitely had time. He's definitely had spots where he's shot called, but he's also filling in for Kanavi, right? So it's in most scenarios, you are filling in for a jungler that was probably good, maybe solid, but not like Kanavi. So it just really confounds the pressure. But I definitely agree with the sentiment that for Top Esports, it definitely seems like they don't have a clear communication system when you watch their gameplay. We'll talk about IG a bit more. I think IG is a decently comparable team to them because of how many new faces they have on their roster too in similar spots, right? Jachi Fotik, Jue versus Fangui, and then we have Sobro's in the top slot lane versus Nio in the jungle, right? So that's 3. Mm-hmm. But IG, because they have Rookie and Wei, funnily enough, you would say that they usually show better direction. They also, I think, have struggled with direction outside of their lanes. But, hey, when that Game 3 came last night, IG run it over, and I think, a huge reason for that is Wei and Rookie. So that's, the difference for me between Top Esports' roster and IG's roster right now.
I agree.
To follow up on that, I think you're right. The thing what I see with IG is, whereas Top Esports has kind of struggled to find cohesive direction, IG has a game plan. They just can't always execute it correctly. And I think that comes from Wei and Jue want to be aggressive. They want to go fast. Sometimes go a little too fast, and I've seen a few too many times. I still am hype about Jue, and I want this guy to be in the next class of potential great LPL supports. That being said, if Jue is going to have a playmaker's eye, he also needs to make sure that the eye is expanded and notices where the rest of his teammates are before he sends it for the engage. Because there have been a few times where he goes for like this way too deep of a play, and even if he pulls it off and he connects it, it's like, bro, your team's in Narnia right now. They can't realistically.
They're on the other side of the river. We saw this last night. Him and Wei are going forward, and his team is like Photic's on the other side. Now, I'll give them credit. Top Esports and specifically 369 was doing a lot of heavy lifting of just sending himself into the back line, whether that was with the Renekton or the Ambessa, of like keeping Rookie and Photic not available for the fight. But against better teams, that is going to happen. Like, I'm not even saying Top Esports is a, that echelon, but against the BLG, you are just going to get hands checked and they're going to snap on you. So I know we're like maybe looking at Group Ascend to be like top 4 will be any combination of like BLG, JDG. We're assuming AL. I think we're giving them a lot of faith and a lot of credit for what this roster did last year. But I think there is a very, very high likelihood that IG or even Top Esports, if they're able to kind of get some of their things together, slot in themselves into that 4th place position, because Weibo, another team that we'll kind of talk about a little bit later, this team looks all over the place, and they have even more like firepower if you think just from a names perspective alone.
Yeah,
totally. Without a doubt. I think I will, I guess now I'm on the podcast, I will stamp myself as maybe one of the loudest Jue Glazers, for sure. I do agree with Mark's point that the thing that holds him back right now is that he just tunnels on the highlight engage, and it will hurt the team sometimes. What I do want to praise Jue on, that we talked about, myself and all towards the end of that series last night, is we got to see Jue pull out the Enchanter Lulu, which was worrisome because he's not really an Enchanter guy. I think that Lulu is like a huge reason why they end up winning that game. Fongue's Nico is completely eradicated by this Lulu pick. He plays it really well. You think he would like have that classic engage support play mindset where he like stands where a tank Nautilus can stand, but like a Lulu can never stand. No, he plays a really good Lulu. So I do want to give him praise, because if he can add that sort of Lulu pocket pick, like maybe add a Karma in some spots, maybe like the Renata comes out and he can play it well, that's something that you would expect from a top tier support in the LPL, something that like say On can do.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
The nice thing is that this is now Jue's 2nd Lulu game of the split, and that is 2 more games of Lulu than he played, I think, almost a majority of 2025. So
yeah, I think so.
We're making progress on the expanding the champ pool department for Jue, which is the next step evolution. And it's not to say that Jue's champion pool was ever shallow, because remember, this is one of the few supports that has gone to the Taric in the past, which has been lit in those angles. He's also played a set, which has been pretty good. I think the Taric was definitely more exciting.
There were some set games that looked very suspect.
Yeah,
the laning phase was a bit questionable.
But that was
he did have a Lulu
FPX
game last. He did have a Lulu game last year, so we did end up seeing it was in Split 2. It was a loss. It was against Top Esports, and it was against a Yuumi. It was a Zeri Yuumi game from Jackie Love.
See, that's why I don't remember it. I was traumatized by the cat.
Yep.
There you go. He had 10 games of Renata, but he was 3-7. But I think that most of his stats are going to look a little bad because he was on a losing Fun Plus Phoenix. But yeah, we've kind of talked about it before, but Jue Vampire are kind of the next supports that we're looking at to take the mantle of, the next up and comers, really. And we'll kind of see how that looks, especially with Mako.
Yeah, the hope is Perukia gets up there too. I would agree.
Perukia as well, but Perukia has very similar issues to some of these other guys, where
yes,
champion pool is very limited. I remember his game 5s in some of those playoff series in last year, and it was like, oh, we're reaching for like Elise. That doesn't look great. Oh, we're looking for Karma. That also doesn't look as clean. Even his Bard, I think, has actually gotten better, but definitely is a learning curve there. Guys, I'm going to move us forward. Let's talk about some of the biggest moments here in week number 1, starting off with probably an early bout for the best series of the season, at least in Split 1, and that starts off with BLG versus AL. I keep forgetting. I don't know why the cube zoom is on this PowerPoint. I don't know why it automatically added it to it. We might have a second one coming up. Let's see.
I think we will.
Producer, let's see. No, let's not fix it because at this point now it's here.
Whee!
There's an
This brings me back to elementary school.
Yeah, it does.
You know, so I'm living for this.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you guys appreciate the cube zoom. No, we don't have to make it faster. I think the fact that it like just teases it and
Slower,
it's kind of
actually,
slow.
please.
Honestly, I might make it slower for next week. We'll see.
That'd be so funny. You make it slower every week.
Every episode, it gets like 10% slower.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this match. I know you and I, Raafaa, you and I were on this series, and we were really impressed. Like, just even game 1, we get Tarzan's first ever stage game of Jace, and continuing to show why this champion has been perma-banned across the leagues.
Yeah, something that we'll have and maybe or maybe not go super in depth on, but this is the first time that we see a differentiation in the Jace jungle build path. For all Demacia Cup, whenever we got it, it was usually Youmu's and then into things like Serpent's Fang if they had a bunch of shields up, right? Or if you just wanted more raw lethality, you went for Opportunity. Bastion Breaker is one of the newest lethality items on the season, and it is bonkers. I didn't realize how stupid this item was until Tarzan built it, and I looked it up on my side monitor, and I realized this thing has 22 lethality, has a true damage passive proc on your first instance of damage, and then when you take down a champion, you do an additional amount of... I can't remember what the damage amount is, but it is ridiculous.
It's bonus true damage again.
Bonus true damage again,
Jeez.
and it's a shit ton on either an epic monster or a turret. So in context, it's like, oh, if you're an AD assassin, you're split pushing, and then you win the 1v1, boom, turret is gone. But as Jace jungle, you're just looking to instantly win a fight and then immediately turn that into an objective push to either get the base open or you just secure Bear or Dragon off of it.
Yeah, it's not a reliable tool, but I think if you are ahead and you are as skilled as Tarzan is and you're playing these fights, we have touched a little bit that with some of the season changes, dragons have gone a little bit tougher to take. You have a Bastion Breaker. I think it's going to be less influential for fights like that because by the time he had built it, it was like 4th item or 3rd item at that point. So dragons are going to be a lot easier for him to take as
no, this
Jace
was the
at that
second
point.
item.
It was a second item? Okay, well,
yeah.
Then, I mean, he was getting them pretty fast. He had first strike as well, so that alongside cashback, he's just compiling the gold. This was a really, really awesome game to watch immediately, but everything after this just felt like a BLG smackdown.
Oh yeah, it definitely was. If it isn't evident by the man in the mid lane that takes up the rest of this lovely graphic. So I think it's obvious to talk about Knight. I'm sure we will. The thing I will say for Knight now is I would pose the question as not much of an LPL historian. Well, I'll start with this, I guess. I kind of want to ask you two, or more so, yeah, because I feel like you two are a bit more knowledgeable on like past iterations of Knight. Obviously, he was like our split 3 MVP, but the level he's playing at right now like feels to me better than he was playing at the end of in 2025. And I'm curious if this is like, is this like 2024 Knight again, like, or is this like a new level kicked up? Because to me, watching him now versus the split he won MVP, this is him playing better. So that's crazy to me to even think about.
I would say historically this is probably like closer to 2024 Knight than it is like any other time. You can always, I think it's always correct to make the argument that as the game expands, and especially players who play for almost the entire calendar year, as BLG and Knight does most times throughout the calendar, these players are just getting better. Like a player this year is going to be better than they were a year ago, 2 years ago, more often than not. And especially of Knight's caliber, I expect that this BLG team is just going to be a lot stronger than even the 2023 variation or the 2024 variation. So for Knight, he has been by and far away one of the best laners we've had. He's been one of the best team fighters. It was a little sad because we moved away from a lot of the great champions that we knew him for, like the Syndra, like the Ahri back in 2023 and 24. And even before that, his Sylas, his Akali was nightmare fuel for so many different teams. And while some of those champions have been kind of phased out of the mid lane meta, he is still like growing his pool. I think the fact that his rise is incredibly competent is awesome to see. He has a really, really strong Galio, which we haven't seen pop up so far, but I am going to expect if we get back into team fights and we're kind of looking at like AD junglers maybe being even stronger, Galio always opens up as an anti-mage tool. So this is, I would say this is probably some of Knight's best performances already, but it is really early and we don't have, I think, the raw data. But I think you can just see, just from MVP counts alone, highest amount of single game MVPs we've had in a season is 2023 spring, and that was Scout with 17, which is insane because LNG played 39 games. Almost half of those games going over to Scout MVP wise is incredible. And this is, sorry, these are man of the match, so they're series. So that's actually, I was wrong. He almost got every single one of their series as a player of the game, which is crazy. And already Knight, I'm looking at player of the games, player of the games, he's at 6, which is number 1. Player of the series, he's at 3, the most of any player already.
Yep. A couple things for this. One, not only Knight is back in what we believe is kind of his peak form, something we haven't seen since like 2024, but also the rest of the core is seemingly back to 2024 form. And I think that is the important distinction between how you can look at Knight's performance and what he is actually able to do this year versus what was happening in 2025, because we're far gone from the days of League where you could just be the best player on the Rift and that's all you needed to be, and that you could just 1v9 games. You depend so heavily on your team doing, at least being stable enough, or also doing well to a certain degree so that you are more freed up to be able to unleash your free will onto the enemy opponents. If Knight still had the 2025 Bin, who is struggling to even look like a crumb of the Gigabin status most of the time, and he's like losing lane to other top laners like the Shy and Flandre and 369, then Knight is even more restricted to play like super far up and super aggressive, because he can always rely on his team, who is also doing well, to pick up the slack if he ever messes up, which then kind of gives you this ability of, oh my god, can Knight actually get away with, well, I guess he can, and then everyone just fears him because of it. But Bin is smashing lanes again. He's only been affected like once or twice, but even when he has been pressured, he is still getting a ton of resources for himself. He's split pushing. On is literally destroying lanes a majority of the time. There's been a couple games where he's lost the better end of the trade in the 2v2, but On is like, when I see his Alistar again, I'm like, this is why I was hyped about watching this guy back in 2024. Like, his just raw mechanics and his like in the moment critical thinking of problem solving, of how to use pulverized flash to just instantly identify targets, like beautiful stuff. And his roams have been great. His ideas for flanks have been really intelligent as well. It's not 100%, but this is the closest thing that we have seen Bin and On being at a like stable enough performance, which is why the majority of this BLG roster is already considered number 1 in their role, just off of our weekly player ratings from the LPL broadcast.
Yeah,
I'm very glad that that was going to be my point. I was going to bring up for Owen specifically. So Mark, I'm glad you brought that up. I think one thing I said, I think like a video I posted talking about BLG, was the scariest thing for me about BLG is that we are not having Viper. We're not having like the Viper pop-off moments yet. And that's not to be a bad thing, right? Like, he is playing.
And not if you're Sheep Esports, apparently. Sheep Esports, those guys are like, Viper had an amazing game. New milestone reached 1,000 kills in the LPL. It's like, my brother in Christ, he's not even like the 3rd best player on this lineup right now.
He's not. And that's the scariest thing, right? Is that he does not have to be the Viper that we've known in the past. Like, the Viper I even thought he had to be Viper a lot of the times for HLE. Yeah, like for HLE. Like, so that's always in the back burner, right? Like, that's the scariest thing is, like, it is inevitable that he is going to have a game where he just takes over like the best AD carry in the world does. And if he does that with the team around him playing like this, like, this could be a very fun year for the LPL. I don't want to jinx anything. I don't want to get too ahead of anything because I believe in those things for teams I support. And also, like the Legend Peanut, I am a BLG supporter this year because I am a Viper only Glazer. So like I will be wherever Viper is. I will say it does put me in a very precarious position for my fandom because the first year I came onto the LPL English, I did profess my love for AL. I still love AL because of Kyle mostly, but now I'm in an awkward spot.
Let's go back. You first professed your love for Thunder Talk.
Okay, true.
And then you immediately dropped them.
Well, no, I wouldn't say immediately. Okay, I remember we ran graphics about how I was like the good part of Thunder Talk. Yeah, that's a valid call out, Mark. I definitely have dropped Thunder Talk. Hey, I said their jerseys were the coolest this year. I mean, what else am I supposed to do with this Thunder Talk roster, man? Come on, give me some slack.
Listen, wait, don't get me wrong. I think a lot of us got caught up in the magic of Hoya solo killing Ben, and we were all just like, "Oh my god, TT, they're the truth." And then it just turned out BLG were just struggling.
Real quick, gentlemen, is there any quick words we want to have on AL? We spent almost this entire graphic talking about the winners of this series, but AL are, I don't want to say struggling, but they do look like more mortal. They look maybe more akin to the AL that we saw in Split 3, which had a lot of flaws in their gameplay and aren't necessarily being super creative this time around.
I think the distinction in actual, like, best in your role starts to matter more when BLG is not only, like, trying to full court press you and match you in mechanics, but BLG are also starting to demonstrate some better macro plays, which I want to tee you up on this, Alec, and get your insight and kind of what your opinion on this is. But one of the things that I've seen a lot in the LPL community across social media is that there's not enough credit being given to actually Danny, who is the new coach for BLG. And one of the things that has been kind of clear for, like, I don't know how much credit he should be deserving right now, but I will say that BLG are being a lot better when it comes to late game clutch factor and making sure that when something happens, like the Kyle 4-man rel engage and shoring up a 10,000 gold deficit to a 5,000 gold deficit, that BLG just don't lose their minds and then chuck the game off of it. They recompose themselves. They just basically count the fact that, okay, all 5 flashes were burned from their team. It's a very expensive fight that they just took. We just need to make sure that we punish that and we don't lose our minds, which BLG has been folly to when IG were at their peak in Split 3.
I'm glad that you found a way, Mark. I'm honestly, I feel very empowered to just go into my closet and give you my BLG jersey, because we had a point for AL and you somehow turned it into a BLG question, which is incredible.
That is incredible.
I think we missed the forest for the trees on this one. So I'm gonna let you take this one back. I'm gonna give you a second here if you want to compose yourself. Maybe let our producer draw on top of you as a punishment. I don't think that's not a really great dunce cap, but I do like it.
Good try.
I thought you were trying to draw one. All right. It sounds like we don't have very much for AL for right now, so we'll come back to them.
Yeah,
what's up?
I do. I think main reason I'm willing to give them grace is I think the Tabe Exodus factor is a big thing, at least early on in the split, and also this is Mega Cope, but they obviously didn't play any Demacia Cup reps. I don't know how much the team has really played together.
I mean, neither did BLG in their 4-0, so I don't know if that's.
Well, no, they had Viper. Who did they? They had Viper.
They had everybody except Knight, but like,
yeah, what?
I
don't know.
If Knight can show up and just kind of
okay,
it's Knight on everyone. But Knight is Knight.
Yeah. All right. So I'm willing to give them more time because new coaching staff, but is worrying.
All right, let's move on to our other. We got the good. We got most of the good out of the way with the BLG AL series. The next one up is a lot of the bad and definitely a lot of the ugly here. Let's talk about this Weibo Gaming roster, because you would think a team with Zika, with Jeje, with Xiaohu, and obviously a new bottom lane with Raafaa and Elk, that they should be so much better than they're showing. But you can take the players out of Weibo, but you can't take the Weibo out of the players, apparently, because we are somehow 1-3 to start off the season.
From spots like this, yeah.
I'm just gonna say, before I let Slayer go into it, Xiaohu needs to clutch the fuck up, bro. What is going on? What, like, I know that it is like being framed as a Weibo anti-clutch. It is a Xiaohu anti-clutch. There's like 3 or 4 games that Weibo were in the, like, literally one good fight away from, and it's off of Xiaohu getting caught or going way too early and just ruining the setup of the fight.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. I think Xiaohu is definitely the biggest liability. I refuse to hear any Elk slander. I think Elk is playing pretty phenomenal.
He's doing good. I think he's still, and this is not necessarily on Elk, but I do think that him and Raafaa are still figuring out how they want to play the lane and how they want to find engagements. I do think Raafaa has need a little bit of time to develop, but otherwise I would say generally Elk is performing and kind of showing that, while I think that making an argument that him being replaced by Viper is a hard ask, like, this is a really, really talented AD carry, and Viper has done something that he hasn't, which is won Worlds. But he is really, really good, and that was my worry coming into the season, was whether or not Elk was going to be kind of back to WE Elk or Ultra Prime Elk.
Yeah, and so he I don't think deserves a lot of the blame. I just think, like, I don't know how to diagnose the anti-clutch here, but there are just some, like, really simple decisions that a team with Xiaohu, JJ, and, like, Elk should not be making in team fights. Like, there are team fight mistakes that I see from Weibo that if you turned off the top header, took away nameplates, said Slayer, guess where this match is taking place, man, I would say Group Nirvana, because of how bad some of these decisions are being made. Like, I'm watching us Nocturne Ori ult supports. Like, I do not understand how that is, like, not, like, that is like Hardstuck Casterlo does not Nocturne Oriana ult support players. Need I say more?
Probably doesn't get into spots to do that, so that makes sense.
Hey man, I'm just the AD. I just clock in, all right, and click minions.
That's fair.
That's
fair.
Bigger than my pay grade.
Yeah,
if I play jungle, I might get bloodthirsty for.
True.
But
true. I see this, and it really has come down to Xiaohu again. We talked about it in the first episode. K-Man is the biggest Xiaohu defender, saying that there are so many other LPL players where they're going to have week in, week out, like, good or bad performances, but Xiaohu at his best is a top level player in the league. However, we have not gotten that in, like, multiple back-to-back series since maybe 2022, 2023. And it's sad to see, but he is a big liability for this team. I do want to praise him because he has been a bit of an innovator. He has been bringing out the Cassiopeia a lot of times, and this champion did get a change, does have boots that she can now buy, and does require a little bit of finesse in team compositions. She's something that you do kind of have to build around with how unique her kit is. So I think Weibo are still adjusting. You do have, I think, at the end of the day, I think you have a lot of clutch players. I think in particular, Elk and Jeje, at their best, when they are in good spots, are probably going to be your most clutch players. It's just, I think we need to be able to shore up how and when we're approaching team fights, and especially when we're talking about, like, closing out games, this Weibo team needs to get their shit together, because it is becoming very worrying. And this is a double round robin. This is also going to be a much longer, season with 3 splits. So a lot of grace to them. We gave them a lot of time last season of, we'll make it to the regional finals, but then they failed to do that. And I think multiple years in a row of Xiaohu and Weibo not making it international is going to weigh very heavily on this team. And maybe we get back to some of the bad air that was on these guys going into split 2 and split 3 of 2025.
Yeah. I'm glad you
Yeah.
mentioned JJ because
Still getting Baron steals. He's still
Yep,
got that. Yeah.
True.
dude, outsmiting a Pantheon Q smite. Oh my god, JJ, you are so hot, brother. Anyway, that's my show.
I think you just direct quoted your quote tweet of the Baron steals clip right there. I think that's
probably
verbatim what you wrote. JJ is so
Yeah.
hot, brother.
He is, dude.
Yeah.
Like around the same time last year when we were in the playoffs and he had the Lilia 1v2 Elder Dragon steal. Ooh, yeah, I think that was also very, very hot of him. So, but you know that's the jungler in me talking.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Okay, we've gone through some of our big highlights here. You know, Weibo maybe not looking good. JDG and or AL and BLG looking, you know, decent to fine for right now. Well, we expect them to do well throughout the season. Slayer had something prepared for us, and we're gonna go through what is essentially an ADC tier list. Now, Slayer,
Yes.
I kind of was fast and loose with the qualifications on this one. So you're gonna have to do some pretty heavy lifting on some of the explanations for this, but
Okay. Yeah. So I'm now I'm realizing. How many lanes did we actually end up with? So like the whole. Okay. So the tier list
there
here.
are 8. There are
There are 8.
no,
Okay.
there's 7 in total. You
Okay,
gave
we're
me
going-
8. I didn't end up using the 8th one, so we were just
Yeah.
at
Okay.
7.
So are we going top down? I assume is
Yeah,
how
we're gonna
is
go
how
from
doing?
top
Okay.
down. Kai
Okay,
will
so-
click through these and we'll kind of go.
Sweet.
I didn't want to spoil the first one because it kind of gives it away.
Yeah. That's true. Okay. So for
No,
all my
we'll make you do this work. Come on, you're already here.
So, for all my sports fans, if you ever watched, I know all keep rolling his eyes, but Nick Wright does like the QB Mountain every week for the NFL. This is what this is inspired by. Also, want to shout out the lovely Grapes. Because he actually gave me this idea. He actually named it as well. In classic fashion, I am just piggybacking off of Andrew. So this is the bot lane bypass, all right? The bot lane bypass. So we have a lot of lanes. Of course, there is that lane that is blanked out, as you heard Ulk say. That is reserved for the one and only Viper. Viper has his own lane at the very top. It is the Viper lane. So we're going to throw him on up there. Yep, Viper. Stay up there, King. You can just don't worry about it. We don't need to spend any more time on you. All right. MVP lane is going
Shameless.
to go to 280 carries. This is, funnily enough, it's a play on words, right? You have the HOV lane, MVP lane.
Yeah,
Similar
okay.
thing, right?
All right.
Um,
It's in the wrong
go-
spot, but that's not your fault.
Yeah. Well, it's because Viper paved his own road in gold.
Yeah, there you go.
His bad. Gala is here. So Gala and Elk are going to be put up here, right? I am very on the board that Elk is playing at a level above even maybe what we expected him to come into this Weibo team playing at already. So he is going up to the MVP lane. Gala obviously has to be there. I think he has been wondrous for JDG. Also, if you get a pentakill the way he did, most of the time it's going to get you bumped up. Not always,
Pentakill
though.
Prince.
Yep, Pentakill Prince. We'll see later about the Pentakill stuff. Fast lane. This is like all the way over to like right outside the HOV lane for context. That is like where if you're a California driver, you have to drive 25 miles above the speed limit or you'll get honked at. That's how fast we're driving over here. This is where I might start getting a little bit of flack. I do not care. I stand by my boys. 1XN is here and Hope is here. So, yep. That's my goat 1XN.
Now I made this and I didn't really like register this, but
Wait, that's
Yeah.
it for Fastlane? You don't have this guy right here? You don't have Jachi?
No. This is
No.
also okay. I will preface this by saying this list was made. I made this list prior to
4
Chachi's.
to the series.
Yeah, before he had 2 15 kill performances and a pentakill. Nonetheless, I do think Jachi. He's in the fast track to get bumped up if he keeps this up. All right, one series wonders.
I need you to explain this 1XN bump because and remember, and I will give you the caveat that we made this list before yesterday's series.
Yeah,
but
that also is true.
1XN and LNG, they have a large responsibility on their shoulders. You are a group Nirvana team that, for all intents and purposes, everybody is saying you're not supposed to be here. And he still has some of those tendencies that I think ruins games. Like, he is a big carry. He was the only reason that Thunder Talk team was winning games. He's kind of the only reason that we see LNG be consistent. However, he does have team fights that I'm kind of looking at him and I'm saying, like, what are you doing? Like, he's either afraid to deal damage because some of his lanes aren't in a great spot. I do think that 1xN does have the talent and the potential, but this year is going to be that make or break for him.
I agree with everything you have to say. I am just an agenda-based analysis guy, and my agenda is 1xN.
Dude.
Hey, at least I'm being honest, right? Like, hey,
respect. Stick to the Glaze King.
I'm sticking here now until if they lose a Group Nirvana series, he will drop immensely. I will say that now. Okay. So we'll come to that agreement. If they drop a Group Nirvana series.
I need you to defend Hope, because I think a lot of fans at home are. I'm great at being able to build up Hope. I can recognize that his Worlds wasn't the most fantastic, even going back to MSI, his international performance, a little iffy. So you're going to need to sell some people as to why you think Hope is so good, especially because I think AL's also struggling in general.
Yeah, so I will first say that I do still believe that Hope, on the most consistent basis, is usually the weakest member of AL. I would argue right now it might be Shanks. I think Hope's actually playing a bit better than Shanks is for that. That's where I do think a lot of the AL problems are. I think people have just gotten too used to the norm of the high level of play he brings to AL. And everybody kind of just watches Tarzan and Kyle, maybe like Flandra when he does these crazy top lane things, and they're kind of just like, oh yeah, Hope's doing good, and then they don't really like explore it any further. Guys, the AD carry pool, especially this year with no Jackie Love, like, AL fans, you don't know how good you have it with Hope, okay? Like, there are some guys above you, like, there's Gala, there's like Elk
talking
and
in
Viper.
A mirror, bro. The AL fans, not me. Guys, this Hope guy's great.
But no, I seriously, like he has pop off games where he does what a high level AD carry is being asked of him, and it's happened this year. Like, the first game of the year, he drops a 13 kill hammer on the head of IG. He goes 11 kills on his patented Corki, who he's like one of the better Corki players I think we have in the entire league. It's a consistent champion for him, and he is very little of the time mistake riddled in how he approaches team fights based on the AD carry he's playing. The only AD carry where I get worried about him picking up sometimes compared to other AD carries is like kind of your short range playmakers. I think he struggles on those. Like he had a kind of weird Callista game. I think his Kai'Sa was like against Vipers, like Sivir.
Hey, hold up now. His Kai'Sa last year was extremely goated.
100%. And AL fans need to remember that too. So this guy has champions that I would argue he can stack up with the best of them in this league. He's usually pretty mistake prone, at least in domestically, right? I'm not applying international. And he's had pop-off performances this year. He should be in the fast lane. I think he is being underrated, even if you do think of him as a weaker member of this team. We'll keep things rolling. Because there are some other lanes. Middle lane, like the middle lanes, that is Jachi and Photic. So that will round out our group Ascend AD carries. Jachi is now a candidate to move up if he could put together what we saw from yesterday, even though Top Esports lost, because they honestly could have gotten 2-0'd if he wasn't playing as well as he was.
Yeah.
And then Photic, we need more time on him, right?
He's okay.
Yeah, he's okay.
I don't think we need more time on Photic. I think Photic has been in the league for long enough. And that brother, he needs to do something. I need to see him, I need to see him have a breakout split. There's been multiple times where we get excited about Photic very early on, and then he spends the rest of the season giving us some stinkers.
We need like a ritual to summon the essence of Victory 5 Spring Split again. And then maybe Photic can return to greatness.
Yeah, but then that also means that Rookie would be playing well, and I don't think we're getting that for a little bit at least. So let's move on to the second half of the graphic.
Yeah, so this is where things get a little more
otherwise.
Yeah, this is where things get a little funnier. So slow lane, that's like all the way over to the right. We've got 3 guys here, which is going to be Xiaoya, Awesome, and Starry. So these are guys.
Where's About?
Okay, hold on.
Don't worry about it, brother.
Hold on. You will see. You will see. It might allude to it a little bit here if you see at the bottom. But yeah. So these are guys where it's like, I mean, you know what you're getting, right? There's not like a high ceiling on them. I think Xiaoya.
I think there's a high ceiling on Starry. Starry's just on a bad team. This OG team sucks. Like I have top lane Harry, bro. Like what am I supposed to do? That's tough. That's tough. And then like, thankfully for him, his mid laner is competent this time. But like, that's not always going to be a situation that maybe is tenable. Like, what happens if they start losing? Is OMG going to do the same thing they did last time, where we brought in Charlotte, or maybe we're bringing back Linfeng? Like, is that really going to be the situation that saves this team?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think unfortunately for Starry, his team is grabbed the stick shift and he's stuck in first gear. They will not let him shift up. That's kind of where I feel about with Starry. Then pulled over, as in, listen, buddy, you're about to get thrown off the bypass if we keep up like this, is unfortunately Edward Gaming's Leaf.
Yep.
Yeah, so I will say right now, the one tier that we did not put in that we have put in that will take over this bottom tier later is license suspended. If you are in the pulled over lane, you are at risk of having your license suspended. You are at risk of getting taken off the bypass, and that is leave. We could roll into the last one really quickly as well. This is the driver's exam. This is where About is, Raafaa, because I need to get. They're still taking their exam. They're new to the LPL. Let's give them some time. Like, About just got here. Ryan just got promoted. Henna comes on over. There's some good signs, but we need to complete the exam before I can let you out into the roadways. Okay. So these are these three.
This is your I don't know tier list, basic.
This is like fresh face tier list to the league.
I thought driver's exam was like, this guy still needs to take the driver's exam. I'm like, dude, About is kind of doing well right now, but. Fair enough. We've only had 2 WE series so far.
So yeah, our awesome producer Drew. So the license suspended lane. Then hopefully, I hope to do this again. This will be a reoccurring theme. The next time we do this, there will be no driver's exam. Like that will be gone, and then license suspended will replace it. That'll be fun to see who gets pulled over, what license suspended. Yeah. And this is the tier list. I think it's pretty good. And then there's the Slayer glaze that has to come through, but I want it to be like, have a stamp of me. Like, it's like you look at the list, it's like, yeah, Slayer made this tier list. So that's why 1xN is in Fastlane.
Hey, you can tell he's American. He just put a highway somewhere where it kind of shouldn't have been. I like it. Cool. I'm glad we can do a little bit of a recap here on this next slide, kind of just showing where generally most of the AD carries are going to be standing. From left to right, obviously Viper at number 1 all the way on the right is a little bit hard just because the lanes don't offer a lot of vertical room. They take up a lot of space, so I had to do this horizontally. This looks like a decent class. I am very sad that Leave is kind of there, just because Leave has been so impressive to watch throughout the season.
He did to himself.
And he is making a fair amount of mistakes. In general, I do think that this EDG roster and their losses have been very tragic, at the very least. Like, very Weibo-esque.
You can say that in seasons past, Leave has been quite impressive in the clutch factor, and this season it is impressive how
anti-clutch
he and Edward Gaming have been. As the resident EDG super believer, ever since Perukia came onto this roster, it has been heart-wrenching watching this team get so many good early game leads and then struggle in the mid game before finally thinking, okay, they finally got through the weird shit that was going on mid game, but they're about to finally win one more fight, and they just lose the plot in how to play a team fight based on the enemy win conditions, and they lose the series. And it's just
my worst positioning of the moment award is definitely towards Leaf. Brother is clicking to places where I think it'd be weird if a tank was standing there and he's playing
melee range on a Mundo as Jinx.
Yeah, that's
It's just how the matchup go, guys. It's just how the matchup goes.
That's me in solo queue, man. That should not be Leave on EDG.
Wonderful. All right, let's get into some more nerd stuff here, because we have a new season. We have a lot more cool stuff that's kind of popped up in the league. and maybe some things that we're a little bit more disappointed in. I think we're spending a lot of the show being a bit disappointed, but Raafaa, you wanted to take the lead on this one. So
yes,
let's kind of move into some jungle topics as our resident jungle on the show tonight.
So, I don't know how often we'll get to do this, but every time a new patch, and in this case, a new season pops up for the LPL, I am expecting innovation and change to happen. And because LPL is usually blessed to be one of the first global leagues to be playing on the new patch, or at least getting first glimpse of the games, especially in a new season, this should be the time where LPL pushes the envelope forward and introduces to the rest of the world, hey, you should try this. I still think that LPL is credited with one of the greatest innovations towards the end of Split 3, which was bringing back Qiyana Jungle. And then Qiyana basically got permabanned at Worlds because everyone realized, holy moly, this champion, if it gets
the LCK teams couldn't play it. The LPL teams are the only ones that could try it, so...
Exactly. So that is like, and I want that to continue to being a defining trait about LPL going forward. That being said, I am disappointed by the fact that Dusk and Dawn is the most broken AP item to have been introduced in the game in a recent while. And it has empowered junglers like Diana, Echo, Gwen. There's even hybrid junglers like Volibear and Udyr that are using this item really well, and it has boosted their solo queue win rates. And we are not seeing any of it in LPL whatsoever. No single... I, at the very least, would have expected a Diana game because there's many Yasuo mid lane players who are great, but I just don't get why people are wanting to just continue to play Xin Zhao when you could... Or when Malphite gets through and your option into Malphite is... Ambessa or Jarvan. It's like, bro, just pick an AP power farmer, outpace the Malphite, and you're still going to be providing, in the case of Diana, like insane initiation and wombo, but you're going to be a carry. So that is like my biggest gripe with one of the things about this patch so far that LPL has done. There are many few things that LPL has done to push the envelope forward, but this is the big, like, I'm getting scammed of the patch so far.
It's right here.
We did see one AP jungle, and it was not necessarily in just this league, but I think it was in Demacia Cup. We had the Lilia game versus the Malphite, and that was a good showing. We were really happy about that. And so we were kind of like, okay, where is this happening? I don't think that solo queue is necessarily being super reflective of pro play, and especially with the numbers that these things have. Like, in my mind, Gwen has been probably the most like underrated jungle for a long time, but has required a lot of setup, and people are maybe a little bit afraid. Also, like as a champion that doesn't have any CC inherently coming in from the jungle, you just have a much different role, and so your lanes have to be more supportive in that way. But I think any champion that is sporting globally an almost 56% win rate needs to be played in pro play. So we got to get to it. We have a 0% of most like AP junglers. The only one that's even viable or even remotely being played is Sylas, and that is an immediate response to Malphite by itself. Yeah, that is the only reason we're seeing it.
And it's not only as just Sylas jungle. Usually, like it's either Sylas jungle or Sylas in the mid lane, which still
more
gets the counterpoint across. I think what LPL has done so far into Malphite for the split, because Demacia Cup, there is way too many Ambessas being picked into Malphite that was just making me livid. Most of the responses have now been Mundo, which not an AP jungler, but it is a super tank that scales harder than Malphite and farms faster than Malphite. So I can give that a pass. And on top of it, the other response has been Trundle. There's been more teams actually like setting up a Trundle counter pick, which has been good. It's still not the AP junglers, which, you know, that would be like an A+ in my book. But you know what? You are like, for the most part, picking solid or smart options into it. Is there another slide regarding LPL Lab?
Yes, we got one more. This is the last one. It's just the items. Some of the items. We talked about Dusk and Dawn, but I do think that the tanks / like utility role has been really expanded this season with some changes to older items and newer items joining the lineup.
goddamn Bandle Pipes. This thing is so busted. So busted. If you this thing on Braum, the guy's in engaged support. The guy's in engaged support with Bandle Pipes.
It's 40% attack speed, bonus attack speed that you get if you get something. So it's not, you will never see this item being finished in lane. So it's not like you are going to be able to get this so cheap that your like level 7 is going to be like really, really strong. But it does mean that playing around skirmishes, whether that's in the river or in mid lane, champions like Braum become very, very strong. Even just things like Alistar, Nautilus, Rel, all of these champions, as soon as they engage, the AoE radius is also very forgiving, and that is just flatly going out to all of your teammates around you.
Yep.
And as a melee, 40% attack speed buff for everybody is nuts. And some supports like Rel get a lot of value from having attack speed.
And then
the fact that
yeah, go ahead, Robin.
The fact that this item is 2,000 gold and it pretty much power creeps the hell out of Ardent Sensor for tanks, that just feels unfair. Like it's not even like cooldown gated. Like I thought surely, oh okay, every time you immobilize or slow a person after, and you know, then 15 seconds passes and you can do it again. No, you can just constantly keep it up time. That is, oh my god, that is insane. And the fact that it's not just it's being built on supports, I'm seeing it extended to other tanks that are being played in the jungle, or even certain bruisers that are like going low econ and just wanting to play utility, which is also what these two other items, Protoplasm Harness and Zeke's Convergence, are kind of finding a niche for, is that they're, I don't remember how expensive Protoplasm Harness is, but Zeke's is another relatively cheap item, and having ultimate ability haste now unlocks
this item is 2,500 gold. Protoplasm is.
Wow, that's still fairly cheap. It's
it feels cheap, like, you know how everybody talked about Ivern for a very long time, and like, oh my god, all of his enchanter items are super cheap. Zeke's is 2,200 gold. Like, if you can abuse these items in jungle, specifically in pro play, I think if you're trying to do this in solo queue, you're kind of just asking to lose, because solo queue is definitely about like gaining individual advantages for yourself and playing the game less about around a specific like tempo. But when we're talking about Bandle Pipes being 2,000 gold, Zeke's Convergence being 2,200, Protoplasm is 2,500. If you're a tank utility jungle, that's basically your full build done in 3 items, and you can have that very close to like 25, 27 minutes, especially with how much gold is in the game now. So I feel like we have now like democratized cheap, really, really efficient items that aren't just enchanter supports, aka Ivern.
Yeah. I think Battle Pipes is like top 3 most busted items to come in or get changed for sure. But Zeke's is also, I think the Zeke, like Raaf said it well. Like you're gonna immediately think like for pro play, this item is disgusting for Rakan. Every Rakan should be playing this, but also like the Malphite jungle. Like if you're going that tank route, like grab this and you're just ulting like crazy, and you're probably getting this can you get? Are they getting like second Raafaa, or like, I assume, right?
Sometimes it's first. Sometimes it's first.
There have been instances where Malphites, if they're doing well, they'll just finish their Sunfire Cape, and so it just gives them a little bit of extra tank stats early, and they're a little bit better in that first couple of skirmishes around Second Dragon. But if they are pressed to just play make all the time, they just sit on the Bomby Cinder, because that's all you need to clear your jungle anyway, and the W buffs that he got from the jungle off season just allow him to clear the jungle well anyway. So it's disgusting.
And the one thing I want to say, like, because right now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not the jungle guy, but it feels like we have a lot of carry junglers. You're asking to see more AP junglers. If the meta ever shifts back to like getting more of those tanks in, like, isn't this just like a busted build for like a Sejuani potentially, or like a Skarner?
I think Maokai. I think you
put Maokai
on Maokai and the game is over. Like Zeke's Convergence on Maokai. By the way, so Zeke's Convergence, it's the active that's changed a little bit here, but when you use your ultimate, you get a fire and ice kind of storm around you for 5 seconds. It slows targets by 30%. And imagine you're a Maokai, you press ultimate, you now basically have 15 ultimate ability haste, and you get 10 flat ability haste on top of that, which is still going to affect your ultimate, by the way. That, maybe you get a Vandal Pipe second. You've now spent basically 4,000 gold for 2 incredible items, and you're playing Maokai. I think if you put any Maokai buffs into this patch or in this season, we are never seeing this champion disappear. We're going to be thankful that Fearless exists, because he's going to be a one and done kind of champ.
Yeah, he will become the next picker ban in pro play. And
yeah.
I think if you want to like even go more chaotic, you just start running Glacial Augment now on all these junglers, because there's so many ways you can proc it. But I still think that Unsealed Spellbook has been probably the best iteration, because it just kind of fits all Jacket trades that you want to do, and it gives you a lot of flexibility throughout the game. If you're playing Malphite jungle, although Electrocute is totally fine just for that extra bit of burst. But these tank items are at least the ones that are popping up the most. Whether it's supports or I'm even loving the fact that Protoplasm Harness is being built on a couple bruisers. I've seen it run on some Jaxes. I've seen it run on mostly Mundos as well, which makes sense because it's a very cheap item to get. And then after Heartsteel, if you can then squeeze a Jack Show in there, then your Lifeline passive, there's like a heal, and then there's like I can't remember if it's bonus health and then heal, or heal then bonus health, based on
so it's bonus health first and then the heal. Yeah, so you gain 200 bonus health. Yeah, so 200 bonus health for 5 seconds, and then you heal yourself. It's a flat amount. Then it has bonus scalings, 250% of your bonus armor and MR. You build this even, like, I think second item is really adventurous, but the heal is nice. Like, you're basically getting around like 500 HP for free from this item, which is like every other Lifeline passive. But if you build this later in the game, if you're an Ornn, if you get a Jock Show like Raafaa was saying, this turns into 600 HP very quickly, 800 HP. And this is procs at 30% max HP, you're going to have a massive shield all of a sudden. And if you're a top laner who takes teleport, that's another thing you have to think about. You're getting a Protoplasm, and you're also getting a 30% HP shield on top of that. You're never dying.
Yeah, no. There's even a couple tanks in the game that get a ton of bonus armor and MR based on their kits. Obviously, that's why it works well with Malphite, because he just has a ton of bonus armor. Poppy I don't think I've seen Poppy's build it yet, but she would be a good recipient of Protoplasm Harness if she's being played jungle or top, because she'll have that extra economy, and you get like more bonus armor MR when you're lower in HP anyway, so that's double whammy. I would love to see Rammus being played in pro play, but there are some other things that are plaguing his ability to enter at this point, and all the other tanks just do his job better. But if he ever gets buffed to the point, I mean, the Protoplasm Harness on a 500 armor Rammus would go pretty crazy. That would kick.
But Rammus also now has MR scalings. Remember that they tuned him to have both. So now he's a little bit more well balanced. He lost a little bit of his more like sharp identity, but yeah. All right, we've gone through the items. Thank you, Raafaa, for teaching some lab for the folks at home.
I learned something.
Let's wrap up the show here. What are matches that we are looking forward to in the season, or for this next upcoming week?
BLG, JDG versus BLG, Friday morning.
Okay, yep, that's coming. That'll be the second series of that night. So, all right, we've got yours, Slayer. Looking at the schedule going forward, what is one that's coming up within the next week or so here you think is going to be really exciting?
Obviously OMG LG. No, sorry, I shouldn't flip.
That's crazy.
You know, I think it's kind of hard to pick out a lot of. I think it's good to watch. I want to see. I don't necessarily think like Edward Gaming, like there's a series to watch that will be very intriguing, but I think it's important that like we get eyes on to see how EDG can respond to this like stumble they've been in. So Like they play Thunder Talk, maybe like the NIP game they also play later is like a good look. It's interesting, right?
Pick a series. Pick a series.
Okay, all right. Those are not going to be my picks. I think my pick would probably have to be seeing. I want to see. I think AL versus IG is very intriguing. I think AL IG will be fun because
they 2-0 those frauds.
Listen.
I think the entire. We've been doing this for an hour now. You picked that match.
Yes. Yes, I do pick that match because I think Wei is playing very well for IG. Tarzan's playing really well for AL despite their shortcomings. And then Rookie versus Shanks.
Slayer, just put the JDG BLG series.
No, you know what? I'm picking this one. I'm picking this one.
The JDG BLG series. Why wouldn't you want to hype that one up?
Because you picked it first, Mark.
Because you picked it. All right, listen. Here's the sell. All right, I figured it out. My mind is dead.
Okay.
ALIG is the Slayer support battle. I'm looking forward to it. There you go.
I don't think
it does fit the Dwayne
is looking
glaze,
anything near Kyle. But
I don't think either. But listen, those are the two dudes I cap for. So
wonderful. Well, there you go, folks. You have 2 matches at the very least you can look forward to. Obviously, again, we're gonna be looking forward on it. For me, I think the night after that JDG BLG, I think that Weibo versus JDG kind of gives us a really big tell as to who the 4th best team here in the league is going to be, and maybe even cementing whether or not JDG will even be 2nd, because it is really just BLG and then everybody else sorts themselves out, and then IG Top Esports can kind of be your 5th, 6th if you really think about it. So I want to see if Weibo can bring it. This would also be us moving into the 2nd round robin. Folks, we're halfway through the season almost. The season ends February 6th. We're recording this on 21st of January. We're almost done with the regular season here for Split 1. Very scary stuff, and double round robin is almost, or the first round robin anyway, is almost up for the show. So yeah, that's everything we wanted to talk about here on the podcast. Guys, Raafaa, Slayer, any last bit of news where people can find you for this upcoming week?
You can find me on X at SlayerCast. At SlayerCast is most where you can find me. I do want to plug that one of my resolutions for the New Year's was to Twitter, yes, Twitter SlayerCast.
Who calls it X, bro?
I'm hearing more people say it the further we get away from the great name, and you know that's true.
Just call it Twitter. No one's calling it X.
Twitter. My New Year's resolution was to lean into more short-form content about things I care about, aka being the LPL. So my TikTok is at SlayerCast, YouTube Shorts I post there too, and I post them on Twitter. So check out those if you want to hear me yap more about 1xN being way better than people think he is.
Yeah, Raafaa?
Any social media that you can think of at RaafaCast, except OnlyFans. That's probably never happening. But
I'm also not on there.
I don't know if I could thrive on that platform. So, but everywhere else, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. I've even made a Facebook account because I know that we have fans in Southeast Asia. So just trying to connect to more fans globally. And the biggest thing is that please build Dusk and Dawn in your solo queue games, and like even if you're a champion that is like hybrid scaling like Jax, I promise you Dusk and Dawn Jax is legitimately the truth. This guy does so much burst damage, and his AP build with it, peak. Anyway,
you get to have Zonias. You already had Zonias in the build, so you get to continue having it. I also, Mark, if you really are against some squishies, I'll give you, or some people with a lot of mobility, I'll give you some tech. Proto Belt. Try Proto Belt. All right, folks, that's everybody. That's it for our 2nd episode. Again, big things that we want to have in terms of interaction. Give us a name for the podcast and maybe some segment ideas you want to see on the show so we can maybe get some more fan interaction here on the podcast. But thank you guys for joining us for the 2nd episode of an LPL English podcast. I've been Alk, and we'll see you next week for yet another episode. Please stay tuned for some more LPL English action every single night.